You've run a state government. You've run a Department of Agriculture on the federal government level. Now you get to run a state university. What else is left on the bucket list for Ed Schafer here?
It's pretty interesting, isn't it? It's just fun to see where you end up. Nancy and my motto, for our family has always been the sign of God is you'll be led where you do not expect to go. And boy, this is just proof positive. A couple of months ago, actually, I was approached by two people, saying, would you be interested in being the interim president at UND? And I said, no. And here we go.
Which is usually how these good stories start, right? Yeah. Somebody comes and says, have you ever thought about, and you say, no chance. I have no interest in that. And then sooner or later, you sure end up there. Ed, it's a big job up there. There's morale issues. There's budget issues. There's administration to student connection and culture issues. It's a big job. And certainly you're not going to be tasked with fixing all of that, but you're going to at least have an opportunity to bring a breath of fresh air to that campus and set the foundation for the new president to come in long term. What are you looking forward to the most about those challenges?
Well, first, Steve, let me add my voice of thanks to all the veterans out there today as we celebrate what they do for us so that we can have the freedom of going to school where we want to go and getting an education in something we want to do. We're not forced to do something, pushed into areas. We have a free country to be able to achieve our education. I want to thank the veterans out there for all they've done and the veterans' families and supporters for allowing us, to have these opportunities in our great country. So anyway, big challenges up there, absolutely. And I'm kind of excited about that. When I was talking to the chancellor about that, he kind of quietly sneaked in, there's a budget shortfall up there. And I go like, man, I'm all about budget shortfalls. This is great.
Been there, done that.
Yeah. And, morale issues are tough, and we hear about them on campus. And there is a disconnect seemingly between the students and the administration. The faculty seem to be mistrusting of the administration, and all those kinds of things are going on. And those are all issues that I've dealt with. Those are things that, when I came into state government, state employees were worried about their jobs and what was going on. The budgets were a mess. Are there going to be cutbacks? What's going to happen? And that affects morale. When you don't have a clear direction, when you don't know where you're going, that jumbles you up when you go to work every day. And so, I think we can look at setting a clear direction and a pathway at UND. And really the effort is to say, we're going to, provide a springboard for the new president. This is going to be an effort to say the president can come in, the new president comes in, hopefully soon. and we'll say, I now can move forward and onward and upward on this day, not having to deal with some of these issues that are on campus. I think we can get them straightened out and provide a springboard for the new president.
What's your number one priority as you get started?
Well, I've always thought that for me, I use the old adage that hearing is one of your five senses and listening is an art. I need to get on campus and listen to what's going on, hear the students, listen to the faculty, find out where these mismatches are in the administration, and really put together a plan to say, here's how we're going to address those issues. Got to get up there, listen up real strongly, and develop a plan.
Ed, this nickname business, now, by the time you get involved here in the middle of January, it will be decided what the nickname is. Will that be anything that you think you'll need to spend a lot of time either, putting salve on any wounds or, kind of helping work that nickname through the system and getting people familiar with the new nickname? Will that be a big piece of the itinerary for you?
Yeah, I think, importantly, this is the time to move forward. And you do have to put salve on the wounds because there are a lot of people like myself, who are disappointed in how we got to this point.
Why do you say that, by the way? Well, what were you disappointed in?
I was disappointed in the heavy-handedness of the NCAA and saying we will, and their inequality, and saying we'll do this in one institution, we won't do this in another institution. We'll do it's okay in this institution if they pay a bunch of money, but if we don't do it over here, we don't pay a bunch of money, then we're not going to do it. I mean, they're really a negative organization, and I think a discriminatory organization in how they handle this. So I'm disappointed in the way it goes, but here's the deal: we're going to get a new name, we're going to move forward. And I cut my teeth on branded consumer products. I mean, I know about brands and how they work and how you build value in a brand. And the reality is, if you started out with the Sioux nickname today, if you started out with the Rough Rider name today, if you start out with the Fighting Hawks name today, they don't mean anything. They don't mean anything. You build the value to that brand over time. And we have to make sure that the university puts out good quality students that are attractive to the marketplace. We have to make sure that our faculty is operating at the top notch. We have to make sure that the university is setting the standard of quality. That's how you build the value of that brand. And of course, winning teams, always help. But building value is what it's all about. So we're going to start fresh with a new name, and we're going to put a plan together to build value to that brand over time.
I should know this. Did you do your undergrad at UND?
I did.
Okay, so you're
I'm
a
an
Fighting
alumnus.
Sioux too. Yeah.
I'm an alumnus.
What are the nicknames? Now, we can tell that you have a special place in your heart for Fighting Sioux, but that having kind of been water under the bridge, which of the nicknames did you like, or were you for the North Dakota no nickname option? Did you have one of those that stood out to you?
I didn't. I got to the point to where it was so much and so overwhelming that I kind of I don't like any of them. It just the process has been difficult. The relationship with the public and the name and the school, and it's all been jumbled up. It's been a really tough thing. And President Kelly has tried to maneuver this minefield of the disappointment of losing the old name and going into a new one, trying to come up with how do you come up with a new name today? It's impossible. Something to use. Everybody else is using someplace else. I mean, trying to protect it with trademarks and add value. I mean, it's a very difficult situation. So, I didn't particularly pick one. I voted, but that's what voting's all about.
You want to tell us who you voted for?
Hey, that's a secret ballot,
okay.
man.
Well, I wouldn't be a very good host if I didn't ask.
But here's the reality. It doesn't matter what I voted for. We're going to have a new name, and it's going to be put on the table, and we're going to move forward, and we're going to build the value of that brand. And 10 years from now, we're going to know that is really valuable and means something. When people hear that name, they're going to say, that is a quality, superior brand at University of North Dakota.
Okay, so your job officially, quote unquote, begins on January 14th. But are there certain parts of this that you can start now or kind of get up to speed or start working on so that you can hit the ground running on January 14th?
Yes, I am hoping to meet with President Kelly soon, so we can develop a transition plan. And I've been invited to attend. There's a study group working on the budget. There's a study group working on the transition to the name. I've been invited to attend, those issues before I'm sitting in the chair. So definitely I'll be involved as we ramp up and get ready to take over.
What are some ways, because obviously the gears are moving and you're thinking about some of the problems that are currently at the University of North Dakota, and one of them being communication. What are some ways that you would kind of clear the water there and bridge the gap?
Well, I think one of the complaints that I've heard about UND is that, that the administration hasn't been transparent, hasn't been real connected with the students. My first mission when I get on the ground up there is going to be to meet with students, meet with faculty, meet with administration, find out what these areas are, and I feel strongly that understanding their concerns, the issues that are on the table, you can start building the connections. We need to communicate with the students that they're important, that they're there, and we're going to do everything we can to make sure they get a quality and affordable education. That's the first thing you have to put on the table. We need to understand that the professors at UND are knocking themselves out to try to train and educate and move students forward and understand how that interacts with the students and with the administration. And, I think I can be effective in bringing these groups together with an area. As I said earlier, it's important to listen, but it's also important to make sure that people understand the mission, the direction in which we're going, and the ability. Everybody get on board of that. Everybody has a piece of it, and everybody can perform in improving the communications at UND.
Do you have a timeline for yourself going in when you would like to see that improvement take place?
Well, I would like to see it take place immediately, of course. But here's what I do know. From my experience, both at the state of North Dakota and at the United States Department of Agriculture, things can change fast. I think it's very important to say, this is who we are. This is where we're going to go. And here's how we're going to get you on board. And we can do that. And I was a short timer at the USDA in Washington, D.C. And I was amazed when you were able to communicate. I'm imagining now setting up a broadcast video streaming video, with everybody at UND. I did it at USDA with 107,000 employees and said, you're important to this organization. My job is to take the barriers away so that you can do your job better. And we started seeing a change in the morale in the agency almost immediately, and that's what's going to be my job there. And I do think that you can make some changes that will come about faster than any of us can expect.
All right, before we let you go, question I have to ask you. Do you have any thought at all in your mind that, if I get started and I kind of like this, I might want to keep this job past middle of next summer, something like that?
I do not.
Okay. Not interested at all.
Well, I think importantly, a lot of people look at interim positions as a stepping stone, or maybe that'll give me a leg up on it, really want to be there or whatever. The parallel to me is a legislator who is voting because they want to get reelected. And, so you're sitting there and you're saying, okay, I'm going to vote for something in the future, not for what's at hand today and important at hand today. And I think there are things that need to be done at UND, and I want to be concentrating on them and looking at them for at today and not worried about how they might affect what I may or may not want to do in the future. So I am not a candidate for the presidency of the UND.